Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to the Busted Knees and Pretty Trees podcast, a podcast brought to you by your favorite middle-aged backpackers. In today's episode, we will dive into planning the route of a backcountry hike. For those of you who do more day hiking, much of this info will be useful for you too, so stick around. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Busted Knees and Pretty Trees podcast. I am Brad Greer, and joining me today is Patty Richardson and Travis White.
Hello.
Hey.
How's your guys' week going?
Pretty good so far. It's been absolutely crazy, dude. We had the golf outing on Saturday to raise money for the veterans out there, and it was a pretty huge hit. We had just over 100 people there golfing. Everybody seemed to have a fun time, do their fair share of drinking and stuff, so.
Yeah, I attended that outing, and I can attest that it was a good time.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah. I'm definitely going next year for sure.
Yeah, you'll be there for the 6th year. It's fun, man. It's a good time. Yours?
Well, you guys may have heard, I got me a new truck.
Oh, congrats.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy about it. And I had to go to Ohio to get it. Felt like I got it for a decent price.
Brand spickety new.
Yeah, it is brand spanking new.
The process was quick and painless.
Is that an Overlander?
I mean, you can build one, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, because it already looks like it would manhandle a decent sized mountain.
It's supposed to be the equivalent, or I wouldn't say equivalent. You can't say that to Toyota owners, but like a competition for the Tacomas.
Oh, man!
It does have a lot of ground clearance.
It does.
It's pretty high off the ground.
The Subaru is 9.8 inches, and I'm thinking that is like double that.
It might be pushing 10.
Yeah.
I'm already having fun with it, driving over stuff.
All right, dude.
It's dirty.
Nice.
Well, let's get into some news stories. What do you say?
Hell yeah. I've been waiting for this all week. We kind of heard some the other day. He let some of them sneak.
Let the cat out of the bag.
Yeah, let the cat out of the bag. So.
All right, so this is a really good one. Bark Ranger Gracie reports for duty. Use of a specially trained wildlife shepherding dog to manage habituated wildlife in Glacier National Park.
Bark Ranger. I heard you say Bark Ranger.
Yeah, she's
Bark
a national
Ranger.
bark ranger.
Little puppers.
So
look at how cute she is.
Glacier National Park was having an issue with habituated sheep just roaming the parking lots. And the rangers would have to, they'd have to haze the animals out of there, which is to irritate and stir them up so they leave. And then they just come right back. So Mark Beal, who was a park ranger, I believe he's actually a program manager, had a new puppy border collie and decided, I think this would be a good idea to train this dog who's meant to do this to haze the sheep away. So they got funding from the government, and I believe she was the first bark ranger. And now there's other ones. There's one at the reflection pool in D.C. that scares the geese away so they don't poop everywhere.
What a good idea.
Yeah.
Is that the best job for a dog ever?
Yeah,
Oh,
ever.
yeah. And the pictures, if you go to the you can Google Gracie National Park Service, and there's a story on the National Park website.
No way.
So you can see pictures, and she's ecstatic in every picture you see.
She looks so cute.
Yeah.
Got to be the happiest dog.
And she has a
on the
little
planet.
ranger vest that she wears.
Cool.
It's pretty cool.
That's a great story.
Oh, and to cap it off, if you want to follow her, she has an Instagram account. I believe it's Gracie Bark Ranger or something like that. If you Google that, you'll find.
If I had an Instagram, I would be following her tonight. That's cool. That's cool.
All right, so the next story is
This is my favorite. This is my favorite story.
it's Fat Bear Week at Katmai National Park, where they post pictures of bears before and after, I guess in the springtime, and then they post their current size and put them side by side, and everybody gets to vote who's the fattest bear.
Fat Bear Week.
Yeah, there's a couple pretty big ones. This is also on the National Park Service website, so if you go to the website, you can see pictures, and they have like an NCAA style bracket.
It is cool.
Pretty cool.
That's my favorite chunk, number 32.
Yep, he's a big boy.
Whoever's out there listening to this, you go vote for number 32. Chihuahua Walker.
Walker's
He has a
another big
big
one.
old belly.
Yeah, you got to get on here and see how gigantic the
Yeah.
bellies on these bears.
Yeah, so did you know that Katmai National Park is the home of the Brooks? I believe it's the Brook Falls. That's where all the famous pictures. I think
Of them catching salmon.
Mangelson has that famous
Yeah.
picture of the salmon almost
Oh,
jumping into the
yeah.
bear's
Yeah.
mouth. I believe that is at Katmai. There's a really famous like bear watch. You can go there and watch those falls and watch the bears fish.
Dude, that'd be awesome. Man, I was listening to something about this, and one of the bears in this ate like 96 salmon in about 3 minutes or 30 minutes maybe or something like
Holy
that.
cow.
And that's how it got its nickname. I can't remember what its name was.
Just
but
catching them in its
just
mouth.
catching them,
By-
eating them, catching
by
them, eating them,
grazer.
catching them, eating them.
Just grazing those fish.
Yeah, no, I don't remember grazer, but
Grazer is like a really light phased grizzly.
Yeah.
Looks pretty interesting.
cool.
You'd think the fish would kind of chill out in that spot. for a
Yeah,
while.
They're trying to
yeah, I
mate.
would.
Let's dive into today's topic, which is planning a backpacking route. So last week we talked about choosing a location that you want to go hike. Now we're going to talk about actually planning that hike.
Yeah, brother.
Yeah. So what's your first step that you like to do, Patty?
Well, I guess the first step before I kind of go any further is I want to decide the kind of hike that I want to do. There's kind of your easier hikes so you can polish off lots of miles, and there's your harder hikes where you may, or your more beautiful hikes, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where you may just want to take it a little slower, an hour and a half for lunch instead of a half hour, stuff like that. So I think it's kind of really the first thing you should ever do is look at those all trails like we were talking about and decide what kind of hike you want to do and how that trail is going to determine what kind of hike you do. You know?
Yeah, it really is because like going into a hike, I never know if it's going to be 20 miles or 40 miles. Like if
Yeah.
there's a really cool 40 mile that seems like the logistics are easy to get to in and out, like I want to do as many miles as I can.
That's right, dude. Yeah.
Definitely think about terrain and
Yeah.
the difficulty of the
Yeah.
hike as well, because that could, determine how long you want to go, or how during the day or the entire trip.
I totally agree. Also, like you said in the first podcast, always look behind you.
Yeah.
And I think that there's something to be said. I know that because you have a 50 miler that you want to extend those days, make those days as long as you could possibly make them and do all the miles. But I mean, are you really doing what that trail's intended for if you're polishing off 50 miles in a day and a half or something
Yeah.
along those lines,
Yeah.
So for
Yeah,
me,
you almost don't have time to look up or
No,
look behind you.
I know, and
You're
that's
always
the
looking
point,
right
right?
in front of you.
like
Yeah.
some of those trails, if I would have never stopped, you don't really even understand what you're walking through because you're looking at your feet the whole
Yep.
time. And
Yeah, like the AT is notoriously called the green tunnel, right? Or something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
Like you're just the whole time you're just walking through a green tunnel.
yeah, you
But
just
it's
get
still
caught up.
It's still cool. There's squirrels
still
and
very
stuff.
cool.
Oh, I
throwing
imagine
nuts at you.
it's super unbelievable. There's that everywhere, it seems.
Yeah.
But yeah, I imagine it's super unbelievable.
But there are a few times where, say, you have a permit for a beach front or like a nice lake. So sometimes I do, like, I want to spend time at a cool spot, and set
Yeah.
up camp and sit in my camp chair and
That-
drink coffee.
Once you have your hike planned out and you know where you're going to go, I think that's kind of what it becomes is now how do I want to take that 30-mile hike and how do I want to divvy that up between the days
Yeah.
and the nights that we have.
Yeah.
So do you want to go with many nights or do you want to go with just a limited number of nights?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Which one? What do you do, Travis?
Well, as you know, I don't
yeah.
do any of the
Whatever
planning.
whatever I plan
yeah,
for
we've
us
already
to do.
discussed this
So,
many
yeah.
times.
What would you prefer, though?
I do. I don't want to do several big trips like in a year. I
Yeah.
like to have one big 4-night, 5-day
Yeah.
hike.
Yeah.
And then like throughout the year, just have some smaller ones.
Yeah. Yeah, like we're talking about going up to Patty's property.
Yeah, up to Manistee.
Yeah. All right, so next you kind of picked a route. Now, I think one of the best things I like to do is look at the rules of the park. It kind of gives you an idea of what you need to prepare for. Like, what are some things you look out for, Patty?
Well, first of all, I would like to say that really looking at the park rules in the way that I would do it would be kind of up there before this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I think that you have to, like fires, for instance. For me, that's kind of a big one. I like to be able to get to camp. I like to be able to collect sticks and have that warmth of a fire, the safety of a fire. That's just, I mean, that's quintessential backcountry to me, is having a fire.
Yeah.
And many parks, they do not allow you to have fires.
Yeah.
So
I always find that by the time we get to camp and find wood and light a fire, we're always like, we feel like we're obligated to sit there and we both just want to go to bed.
We're all tired.
yeah. So, yeah.
But it's still fun to have them.
Well, it's most certainly.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, just warm. And even when you're falling asleep, you kind of hear the crackle of the fire going out, and it's nice. The smoke every now and then.
Yeah, and usually the park website will also give you info like best time of year, say like the AT, this is when the bubble is coming through, so there's going to be a lot of thru hikers coming through at that, like between these months or whatever.
Yeah.
So they kind of guide you in that way too, and they'll say snowfall tends to start in October or whatever, so you can really learn a lot.
Yeah, well, the park websites are there for a reason.
Yeah.
They're extremely just boring.
Yeah.
But they're information overload highway, you know.
And now I learned that for the permitting rules and regulations, you have to go to the recreation.gov website to figure out how the permitting works and when those dates open up. But normally every National Park Service website, like when you're reading the rules, it'll have a link to the recreation.gov website that'll tell you all the rules and regulations.
Nice.
And I definitely, like, I almost messed this up before. Luckily, Patty reminded me. You definitely want to add to your phone when the permits open, if you do even need permits.
Yeah.
That kind of brings up another point. So there's what type of camping do you like to do, Patty? I know there's like permits and.
Dude, for me, I don't care at all. I've been to as many national parks as I can get to, and it doesn't really. I don't really think too much about it. For me, it's always the fire. That's something that I like to do.
Yeah.
The animals doesn't really concern me, and the kind of camping doesn't concern me. I think it's always a great time when you show up to a campsite and there's other people there that you get to meet and mingle and just kind of hang out. I also think it's cool with the camp zones where you can feel really secluded. And then I also like the open camping. New River Gorge is an open camping place, and it was really neat to be able to just kind of be like, let's put there. That sounds good.
You pick your own spot.
Yeah, you pick your own spot. Really cool. So I really have no opinions on that. It's all badass.
All right, let's take a step back for a second and explain what these different types of camping sites are, I guess.
Good call.
Yeah.
Good call.
So you have open camping, which literally means you can camp anywhere. They normally recommend to go to established sites.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I've ever done, well, I guess I have a couple times done open camping.
Yeah. We really enjoyed that. It was neat walking down the trail, and we were right next to a river.
Did you find pretty much like established campsites?
I saw them along the way. The park ranger would tell you like there were sites that kind of start at about 1.5 miles or something like that.
Yeah.
Bazzy and I, it was his first backpacking trip, so I didn't want to go very far with him. It was also a thunderstorm.
Yeah.
So it was pretty crazy. So we walked only about 2.5, 3 miles down the trail. We just kind of was like, this seems even, and we don't know what this weather's going to look like.
I guess it is a newer
going
park.
Forward. Well, it's brand new.
So
from
maybe
what
they
I
don't have
understand,
established.
and I could be wrong, somebody can check me on this, but from what I understand is they're so new that's what they're trying to do, is they're trying to get people out there to go backpacking. And then they're trying to get people to do overnighters, so then they can start tracking that. Like once somebody lights a fire and gets everything cleared out and stuff, then the next people will see that. And then over time, what'll happen is inevitably you'll have like the 8 best sites.
Yeah,
that
people are going to
use
pick
all
the
time.
best.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So then in 50 years or in 10 years or however long it takes, then those will be the backcountry sites that you get permits for.
Oh,
Well,
nice.
let's help them out.
Yeah.
Remember that park?
Yeah, you hear that, everybody?
New
Get out
River
there.
Gorge,
There we
West
go.
Virginia, dude, and it is prime. I've been seeing pictures online, dude. It is really, really gorgeous.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So the next type of camping site would be zones. I keep saying sites, but there's something we'll talk about that's sites. So camping zones are normally some distance, and it's just anywhere in that zone. Sometimes they're 1/2 mile. They can be 2 miles, 3 miles. And you just have to be in that zone.
Yeah. Those are really nice for backcountry backpacking.
Yeah,
you know,
I do
when
like
you're getting
that.
out there for a really long time.
Yeah,
You know
I
what
do.
mean?
I do kind of like that because you can also be kind of picky especially if you're the first ones that are going to reach that zone, and you can find the best campsite.
Yeah.
And you can choose what you want to look at
Yeah.
all night. Then the last would be specific sites. So, like a whole national park could have like 120 backcountry campsites. So you'll get site 53 or whatever, and quote unquote, have to make it to that site because that's what you're permitted for. So sometimes I've gotten trouble with that where when I first started out hiking, I was underprepared for how long I could go, and I didn't train, and I could not make it to my site. I was so tired and sore. And so I was like, oh, great, I'm already out here breaking the rules just because I can't hack it.
Brad the rule breaker.
And my bag probably weighed like 50 pounds.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So there are perks to that. And plus, like reading reviews online, usually you'll be able to find what the best sites are with the best view or anything like that.
Do you have to
Oh.
be super fast to get those too?
I think
you
it depends because when I lived in South Carolina and I'd go to the Smokies a lot, like I would make a route on Wednesday and be up there on Friday afternoon, and that was site specific permitting.
And you'd be able to get the site you wanted?
Yeah.
Nice. That's
yeah.
cool.
And also when you're looking site to site, I guess it's the same for zones, but like sometimes if there's a bear can in a zone, there's one bear can on like a 2-mile stretch, so it's not really that helpful unless you want to go an extra 2 miles to put your thing in a bear can. But site specific will say what kind of amenities the site has, if it's a pit toilet or if it has a cabling system to hang your bear bag.
Yeah.
Just nice stuff like that. So sometimes it can get pretty overwhelming. Something just won't make sense. And usually the ranger stations in those parks can be super helpful. You can call them. I know I've had problems. You had too, right, Patty?
Oh, yeah.
Trying to reach them on the phone.
Oh, yes.
I imagine they're usually busy, or sometimes the ranger stations aren't manned at that time of year.
Mm-hmm.
But we've always had good luck emailing, even though you kind of don't get all the same kind of context through an email. But usually they're more than helpful, and they want you to have a good time.
Yeah, I've never had a problem with a ranger not responding. I always do it by email because I've had such problems with the phone calls. And
Yeah.
they email me definitely within the 24 hours with all the I don't feel like I bothered anybody. They give me
Yeah.
all the information that I asked for. Rangers are so fucking badass, though.
Yeah, they are.
I mean, like
They're
that.
awesome.
They are. Like, I've never met a ranger that isn't just the most psyched person to be at work that day.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had, when Kirsten and I went down and we finally made it to the road, we sat our packs down on a fence, and I walked away to go look at rocks, as I do.
As you
And,
do.
Amateur rock hound.
A ranger pulled up, and he's like, "Hey, you need to get back to your bag." He's like, "There's grizzlies out here." And Kirsten was standing
I bet
right
he wish
next
he
to
could have
it.
said dipshit.
yeah, he was probably nicer than I would have been as a dude. I'd be like, dude, get with your fucking bag, man. What are you doing?
Hey, I had my bear spray with me.
There's grizzly. Oh, that bear spray. I'll tell you what, though. That bear spray hurt me for a few days. There ain't no bear
Oh,
that
yeah.
can take that bear spray and
For
say
sure.
nothing's wrong.
Speaking of bears, one thing wanted to clarify from last week, we may have made it sound like you need a bear can at every national park you go to, but it's only certain ones. And when you're doing this research on the website, it'll be very apparent which one require bear can.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, after needing a bear can, I mean, I just said that the fire is something that's really important to me, but food storage is now
Yeah.
like on my very top
Yeah.
list.
It seems like normally the ranger stations do have bear cans that you can borrow as well if you don't have one, especially if it's required.
No, they do. I think they give them out. Like, they
Yeah.
literally hand them to you.
But yeah, so basically, like, if you're getting nervous, I know I've been super nervous, went on trips where we didn't have all the permits that we needed. We needed like one more permit to make our trip possible. So I know we were super nervous, and the Rangers were really helpful in kind of calming us down and letting us know we'll be all right. But if not, we'll plan another trip for you. So, Travis, I have a very important question for you.
Shoot.
Do you prefer a pit toilet or just digging a hole?
I would much rather go dig a hole.
Okay.
And-
Wow.
yeah.
So a pit toilet
He's
is
not being facetious either.
it's
No,
Yeah.
I don't know. I
It's
don't wanna
normally
deal with
like it's basically literally a hole in the ground,
Yeah.
and they kind of built a toilet around it,
Yeah.
like usually a wooden structure. Although Pictured Rocks had one overlooking Lake Superior. That was
That's gorgeous.
interesting.
Yeah.
But I'm the same. I think they're usually pretty gross. Sometimes they're clean if it rained the day before, maybe. But
They'll trick you, too.
Cleanliness wise, yeah, okay, I get you.
yeah,
I guess I was just looking at ease, like I could go just
Oh.
drop trout in a toilet at a
Oh.
site somewhere and be fine. But I guess like you're right in cleanliness. I guess maybe that's a bad decision. Just go dig a hole.
I guess that's
Yeah.
where I went first. Yeah, just cleanliness, but convenience. Like if you really gotta go,
Yeah.
you'd probably just use it. You know,
That's it.
Yeah.
So you're saying dig a hole.
Depends.
dig a hole. Yeah.
You're saying depends.
Yeah.
And I did. We were up in Michigan.
Yeah, I don't-
There
I
was
never
one
used
near
it.
us.
I never used those,
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
interesting. Cool.
except the one that overlooked Lake Superior. I did use that. All right, so one thing I'll clarify a little. Earlier I said sometimes the parks websites will tell you when the quote-unquote bubble of a through hike bubble is coming through.
Yep.
So say like the Appalachian Trail starts in Georgia. Is it March people normally start?
Yep.
Can you explain the bubble?
Yeah, that's what I'm doing right now.
Oh,
Yeah, Travis, you fucking.
So everybody starts in March in Georgia, and think of it as like a bell curve. You have some people that start early, then at some day and time, because you have to start in March, or else you're not going to get to the northern end in time before the snow. There's going to be a couple days where hundreds and hundreds of people are on the trail together, and that bubble just moves north.
Mhm.
And it's
Oh,
almost
man.
like what's the cartoon where it's just like the ball of chaos moving around?
Yeah, like the Tasmanian devil.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you would want to avoid. There's really three main ones: the Appalachian Trail, Pacific Crest Trail, and Continental Divide Trail.
Mm-hmm.
And coming is
Yeah.
the North Country Trail.
That's right, baby.
Yeah. That is something to look out for because you may not want to be in the area when that bubble comes through.
Is that just out of curiosity for you two? Because I'm just learning that term as well, Travis. Is that something that would deter you all from a backpacking trip?
I don't think I'd want to be behind them. I guess.
Or
No?
or with them.
oh, I
Really?
definitely don't want to be with
I'm going
them,
out there to
no.
get seclusion, be alone.
Yeah,
Really?
I don't
be
want
away from
traffic.
people.
Wow. See, I like it. I have
Yeah.
I have no problems with that. Staying at a shelter with a group of people. I
Yeah.
mean, sometimes it's uncomfortable, but I don't know. There's something about that because I think it's the same thing with the Rangers. Everybody out there that I've met has been so farting
Oh,
gorgeous
yeah.
and pretty and like fun. So it's it's always really nice.
Still doesn't mean I want to hang out with them all night.
No, I don't necessarily want to hang out with them, but I don't know. Like the bubble just kind of sounds like fun because you're moving together with a like-minded group of
Yeah.
people.
Maybe if I was doing the Appalachian Trail, but I would still try to be like ahead of it. I still wouldn't want to be like in it or behind it.
Yeah.
I think there's a good middle ground
I'm,
with.
I'm a little more.
seclusion.
What, like 3 days behind everyone,
No, just like
or
the,
in front of
the
everyone?
trip you take, in your seclusion and how many people you come across.
Yeah.
Like, I went like every now and then, like, oh, there's a human.
Yeah.
Like you're surprised.
Yeah,
And you
I'm
you
not
can
the
talk
last
to 'em
man
for a
on
while.
earth.
yeah. I guess that's nice. I mean,
Yeah.
I get what you're saying. I don't
Yeah.
know. Maybe that's our different styles or our different
yeah.
different opinions. Where every time but I'm also way more extroverted than
Oh,
you
yeah,
two.
you
I
are,
think in a
for
way. So
sure.
like, I get energized by people and
Yeah.
having conversation and just enjoying all that small talk. So I guess maybe that's just me. I don't know.
Yeah.
If
So-
you're out there, dude,
someday-
email us or get onto our socials and leave a comment saying what you would prefer. Be with everybody or not be with everybody. It seems to me like everybody would choose what you guys are choosing.
Yeah, because that's the reason we're going out there.
Well,
I could see Patrick leading the bubble.
Yeah.
Up the Appalachian.
You can feel
Come
the
on, guys.
You feel the earth rumbling underneath you.
Here comes Patrick, like I'm marching him down the circus lane
And
or aisle. What the fuck did I even just say?
And I'd be like sometimes to get away from people. Say if you're doing a through hike and somebody's driving you crazy, people will just hike through the night to get miles between them.
No, I
and
understand
just
that.
keep going.
Oh,
I
my
definitely
goodness.
understand doing that. And maybe I would change my mind if I guess like in my mind, everybody that I'm ever going to meet out there is cheery and helpful and polite and knows when to shut the fuck
They'll
up.
say you
when
should
to
have
shut
got
the
you
fuck
should have got
up.
a 3-season tent.
Yeah. Yeah. Like a walk into the woods.
Yeah, that's a walk in the woods
Oh,
joke.
yeah.
for
So I
everybody.
guess maybe I look at it with rose-colored glasses, but
Okay, so now we've done our research, chose an area, we know all the rules, we know what animals there are. Now, Patty, talk a little bit about the different types of like trails you can do.
Yeah. So there's loop trails and there's the point-to-point trails. The loop trails, right where you take off, you're going to end back there. So it's really great if you don't have a spotter for your car. It's great if you don't want to backtrack and look at the same thing from a different angle.
Yeah, I'd never want to backtrack.
No,
Very rarely.
I very rarely ever do point-to-point, and if I do a point-to-point, it's like 2 miles to go look onto a ledge somewhere
Yeah.
and look at
Whoa.
a valley or something along those lines, and then 2 miles back. So really short, kind of a day hike thing.
Yeah,
But in
where you
terms
can
of
drop your
backpacking-
pack and just run out.
Yeah.
Wait, you don't do that? You don't drop your pack?
Drop my pack where?
You just set it on the side of the trail and go do like a little side mission.
No. God,
Never
no.
done that?
No. Lord, no. Do you?
Oh yeah.
No, I don't drop
If
my
you
might
come
have it
across
anywhere.
the pack in the middle of a trail, like
It's
like-
not very far though.
I'd go like a mile or two.
No, I wouldn't do that.
Maybe not a mile. That could get dangerous.
I mean, I'm also coming from the person that would like. I'm the guy that would like to backpack with 1 million people. And I still don't feel comfortable doing that. No, I wouldn't
Dang.
do that. And I would generally backpacking. I would not pick a point to point. I would go loop to loop. But there are ways to do point to points where you can begin to connect those to get a trail that you want. So if you can go point to point, then that point to another point to another point.
And sometimes they'll have shuttles, or they'll contract a service to do shuttles that'll drop people off at different trailheads, and then you can just hike back to your car. Or it's definitely something worth looking into, because I know a lot of people do section hikes of the big national trails, and that's usually on those major trails. There's shuttles like you can find a shuttle even if it's staying at an Airbnb or something.
Well, a large section trail like the AT or the PCT are going to be your point to points.
Yeah, yep.
Right. Where
Yep.
what I'm talking about with the loop trail is where you're in one park, you want to do a backpacking trip in that park. You have a car, you drop off your car at the parking lot, you take off, and you come right back to your car at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So it just makes it really easy.
Oh yeah.
Within that park.
That's definitely like my go-to. If I can find a loop trail, I find a loop trail, because logistics can be challenging. So that everything kind of has to come together. As far as we've kind of hit all these different things. So you have the loop trails. Is it open camping? Is it zone camping? So you're kind of like putting all these pieces together and just kind of piecing the trip together by saying, okay, I love pit toilets. I want to have pit toilets.
Well, I think what you're saying by the end of this list is if you've checked off all of these things on this list that we have, then you'll know exactly where you're going to go.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
there's going to
Like
be
you'll
no
know the
question.
park inside and out.
Yeah.
You'll get to know all that's how I do it. I really like want to know what all the trails are, and so you eventually get to know the mileage, the elevation change, because that's definitely something you want to look at.
Do
And-
they distinguish between day hiking trails and backpackers trails?
Not really. I think like the Park Service website will normally recommend those. Like they'll say beginner hikes, day hikes, like moderate hikes, advanced hikes.
Well, it's also not going to be based on the trail. It's going to be based where the camp zones are. So you'll have a
Right.
backcountry camp zone, or you'll have a backcountry campsite, and then so that'll take you there. So it's not necessarily that it's a backcountry trail. It's a trail that's taking you to the backcountry sites.
Yeah.
Because you'll also have dudes and people that go out there and they do 30 miles in a day and a half, where other people will do 30 miles in 6 days. Because, like we talked about up top, that's something you want to
Yeah,
decide how
yeah.
fast you're going to get through that trail, you know?
And that's like normally I try to always keep it under 10 miles a day, because I like taking my time. I like enjoying the scenery. Does that seem to work good, Travis?
Yeah, I like shorter miles between point to point, just because I like to look around and look behind me and all that good stuff. So I'm not trying to go fast. I don't know. That just
Yeah.
doesn't seem like a good idea.
Yeah.
There's been times where I've planned like a 10-mile day, and that was kind of a day where we're going to push it, and the trail was rerouted at some point, and then added like 2 or 3 miles to the trail.
Oh my
Yikes.
God.
And so then it ends up being a really long day. So It doesn't happen too often that trails are rerouted, but it definitely happens.
Yeah.
And then when you're looking at your GPS, you're just in the middle of a forest and there's no trail. It's awesome.
It always seems like when you're you're tired and you're getting towards where you think the point is.
Yeah.
Then it seems like you always have the same amount of miles to go.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah, I agree.
I believe Travis may have snapped at me a time or two because I keep saying,
"Oh my
dude,
God.
it's like half a mile," and it was like 3 miles. later.
And the last 2 miles always feel like 5.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's crazy.
So there are a lot of tools, whether they be apps or physical maps, that you can find that'll help you figure out the mileage, figure out the elevation changes, and it usually shows the backcountry campsites and different routes. One good one that you always see, especially you can almost get it at every REI or off Amazon, is the National Geographic maps. They're waterproof and indestructible, so you can take them with you, and they're always really, really good maps.
Dude, it's really cool to collect those after your trip to the backcountry
Oh, yeah.
or your trip to the national park. That's what we started collecting. It's just kind of another thing. I know a lot
always
of
gotta
people
buy
do collect
something.
those. Yeah.
That's why I thought it was funny the last time we planned a trip. Like, me and you both showed up and whipped out our National Geographic maps, and,
Yeah.
and they're huge, and
Yeah.
they like take up a whole table.
And I didn't use mine once because now it's all on your phone.
Yeah. So on this last trip, I used the Gaia app for the first time. Normally, another option is just downloading the Google Maps offline, because Google Maps does normally have the trails. And if you download the offline map, once you lose cell service, you'll still have the map, and your GPS still works on your phone, even if you don't have cell service. I know maybe not everybody knows that. And I do know Apple just announced that they have satellite messaging. And I haven't looked into it, but there's like, when you buy a new phone, I think you get 2 years for free, and it might be unlimited messaging,
Wow.
satellite messaging. But I haven't heard much about how well that network works. Because I know that's one of Garmin's selling points is they have like 5 satellite networks that they can pull from. So I don't know how that works with Apple. But Gaia was pretty frustrating. I know Patty probably heard me complaining about it a lot at first.
Yeah, I did.
And it gave us problems on trail, because even though you download everything offline, when you drop a point on the trail and try to, like, so you can see how many miles you have left, or if you change your day, you want to adjust your route so you know how many miles you have and elevation and everything. But it just kept snapping to it, or not snapping to the trail, and it was just a straight line as the crow flies. So it was not helpful at all, and I can't figure out why it was doing that. But when you still have service, it's helpful it gives you good elevation profiles, and you can share the details with friends. I did buy the premium, like, year subscription, so I'm stuck with it for like 8 more months.
Maybe you just need a little more practice with it.
I think I want to try it again, because there is a little radio toggle that says something about like route offline or something, but I'm pretty sure that toggles default on, so I don't know. But so I would say shop around. I know I'm going to look around at other maps. Is there one you like to use, Patty?
No, I mean, normally I just use the National Geographic map. That's been my experience all these years until I was on trail with you for the first time.
Yeah.
And then that's when I was introduced to the technology.
Yeah, me and Kirsten both had Gaia fired up and ready to go.
Yeah, it's quite interesting.
But it doesn't, like, one other annoying thing is, say you have a 40-mile trip planned and you drop waypoints at all your campsites. You can't look at the plan of the trip and break it out by day.
Yeah.
You have to kind of like gauge, okay, this is 10 miles in, so this is the elevation change at this point. Like,
It sounds to me like you don't like Gaia.
No, I don't think I do.
Yeah.
But
Whoa.
my way around that,
We still need sponsors.
if
for
you
that.
Whoa.
if you accidentally buy it for a year, one way around it is, instead of just planning one 40-mile route, I planned 5 one-day routes. So, like, I stopped at our campsite and then started a new route and went to the next campsite.
Nice.
But then I couldn't adjust it on the fly once we didn't make it to those campsites. So,
Ooh.
I don't know. I got to tinker with it some more. You know
Well,
me.
you are the tinker guy.
Yep.
You just went on for 4 minutes about a Gaia app. This is our Brad, dude.
Yeah.
This is why I said that I don't have to do shit when it comes to planning anymore, Brad. Or Travis, you just let Brad go to town. And,
There's no way.
like,
I
before
could
you
ever
even
get that
know
deep.
it, he knows the terms of service for Gaia.
Yeah,
Like, God damn.
when you're planning our paddle trip,
Yeah.
I'm gonna like before you even have it planned. I'm like, all right, I got our stops. I got our
There is none
the
of
current.
that.
The
on
average current
there-
flow is.
I hope that they
9.2.
give us a paper map before we leave, and then it's just go. But a river makes it a bit easier because, you just know that there's a general like 10-mile range that you need to stop at.
Yeah,
And so once you start feeling like you've gone that range, you start to look, which ends up
you
being
see where
like,
the sun is in the sky.
well,
you're like,
yeah, that's kind of what you do. And
I
then-
kind
and
of
then
like
you
that
stop.
though.
There's
Yeah.
it's nothing. There's no planning that like that goes into backpacking. Also, we do 16 footers, the
Oh, yeah.
canoes. So in terms of like what you need to bring and what you don't need to bring, like fuck it, just bring it. You know what I mean? Like we have the coolers. Yeah. So it makes it a hell of a lot easier. Backpacking is just another beast.
yeah, it is for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I think that about wraps it up. You guys have any final thoughts, Travis?
I was thinking about people that are looking for trails to go, maybe their first time or whatever. Check locally, wherever you are.
Yeah.
There's trails everywhere, and some of them can be pretty long, and you can do a whole, practice on doing a day hike. Bring some gear, see how much you can carry, see how it feels.
Yeah, I just found there's a cool county park by my house where I can get in like 6 miles, and it's really nice back there. Nobody goes back there.
We went down to what was that called? Salamone?
Yeah.
We did the Blood Root Trail there. That was 14 miles up
Yeah.
there. And then Pokagon is another state park, and they have some beautiful trails. I've not been to Pokagon, but I do want to get some of those locked in.
Yeah, that's a good. It's a
Yeah,
good
great.
final thought,
Good
Travis.
job, Travis.
Don't go to Salamone in July.
No.
Yeah, when it's 95
Holy
degrees.
smokes.
And
That
you can't filter the
was
water.
one hot 14 miles.
Yeah. Patty, final thoughts?
Yeah, I guess just to take it back to where we were in the beginning of this, just take your time, do your research, understand your body and the people's bodies that are going to go with you. Just know who you are. And I think once you go through all of these steps while you know who you are, then you're going to find that trail that's going to be perfect for you.
Yeah.
And then once you're out there, once you get that first trail down, if it's something you want to do again, then you know your baseline at that point, and then your second trail can maybe be something a little bit more adventurous or something along those lines. But it also could be the exact same in another park. So it's just really important to take these steps, in stride, learn a lot about the parks, learn a lot about the trails, and know yourself.
All right, well, that about wraps it up. If you would like to support our show, please leave a review and a rating on your podcast player of choice. If you would like to reach us directly, send an email to bustedpretty@gmail.com or find us on all the social medias by searching for Busted Knees and Pretty Trees. Thank you for listening, and keep on sauntering, you beautiful people.
See ya.
Bye-bye.